Hello, welcome friends. How's everybody doing? I have a wonderful co-host with me right over here. I'm directionally challenged. Charlie, would you
Hello,
like to?
Goldfish, Lady of Ass. I wish I hadn't changed my name now.
I love it. I love it.
Long story for anybody who missed it. Watch Chase's stream on Saturday. There's a backstory. As with everything with me, there's lore.
We have a Megan and the cat. How is everyone doing?
I've actually had a very chill day. I've been watching Spence bake bread,
Ooh,
which honestly, I need an entire channel that's just bread baking. And I don't mean like videos about making bread, just like may or may not have sat for about 45 minutes watching bread dough rise today, and it
that
was
sounds
filling.
soothing.
Yeah, it was one of the best things, one of the best decisions I think I've made recently was just letting that happen.
Excuse me while I keep my cat from killing himself by eating power cords.
Nom nom nom, power chords, yummy.
And he's yelling at me for it too.
Oh, of course he is.
He's like, "How dare you save my life?"
Why
Um,
would you ever?
so it is WorldEmber.
It is.
Both Charlie and I are participating, except for I've done nothing in the direction of WorldEmber. Charlie, would you like to tell us about the prompts that you've done so far?
I have done the species prompt because the nice thing about them is they're just basically the categories, but many of them have prizes attached, and I'm not really looking at all that.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple species that needed to get done. I've created an entire military division that I wrote over 1,000 words on, and I did not need to do that, but I did because have you met me? And I've been building governments. I need to get to the point where I'm making characters. That's what
Mm-hmm.
this my plan was for WorldEmber is like I've got all these characters what need designing, and instead I'm like maybe I should know everything about their home world. Maybe I should do a conlang and a map. Like, no, no, you don't need to do a conlang and a map. You can
Yeah,
do
you
a
don't
conlang.
get you don't get WorldEmber words for maps.
No, you don't, and you don't get them for conlangs either. The words that you create in your conlang do not count towards your WorldEmber. I found that out last year. Long
I
story.
love it. I
I
love
am
it. Ooh,
problematic.
we're getting some comments in. Hi, Mallory. Um, T. Irvine. I think I'm saying that right. Let me know if I am. Was just looking at uh, bread recipes. So Charlie, you got some wheels turning around the bread. Love it.
And yes, it was Spence's bread, and I also watched the kneading of the bread. Like Spence Bread TV is a channel that I would pay to have access to.
Ooh. Spence, what if you did that? What if you made a bread TV channel, and then people could like special order specific requests for bread, and then you had bread scented candles that people could order to watch to burn while they watch your channel. It's a thought. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Jules. Welcome, welcome. Do we have a channel for Charlie? Yes, I didn't put it in the description, but I will add it. Also, I'm going to add some notes because if you like the video on the music on my most recent videos, Charlie actually did all of the music for my channel. You can also listen to it and the album it originates from on the album Pride, which is available on both Spotify and Apple Music.
It's actually
So,
like everywhere now, I think.
ooh, it's everywhere under Project
Project
Shadow.
Shadow. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Project Shadow's the band name. And I think I got my final one. I think it finally made it up on both Deezer and Tidal
Yes,
last week because it's hard to get an album on Tidal, which I don't know
it
why
is.
there's not a lot of people over there. But
Hmm.
um,
It's really good though. I love it. Yep, call me T. Let's see. I also may or may not be probably doing that very sort of video frequently in the future. Yes, that's from Spence. about the bread. We love it. Jules, I may or may not have bought some new crystals, even though I don't need them. You do need
You
them.
always need them. Like my
So,
biggest thing is I've been using that moonstone as a moon tracker, and now I'm wanting to actually make a full-on moon tracker for the altar, so I can just move it from phase to phase. Because right now I'm got it like in my mind, like this is the half, this is the quarter marked out in my mind. I want to make an actual thing, but yeah,
ooh, I like that idea. If you do
crystals can be
that,
used for a lot of things.
could you do like a live crafting session where we like do that with you?
Oh, that could be fun.
I would like that because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, because my second channel, which is Creations Paths, I'm looking at putting a bunch more stuff over there that's much more magic and mysticism related.
I like it. Let's see. Smelloscope, make it happen. Yes,
Oh, yes.
do it. Margaret says nice. I may or may not have been a minute behind because lag, the third phone call from the school, and my own ineptitude. So I'm on 2 times speed to catch up. Oh, I never thought of doing that when I get behind. Why don't I do that? Spence, you're so smart. I'm so dumb.
Honestly, my stuff sounds better at 2x speed. Like, I've been thinking of just like mastering all my videos at 2x.
I mean, whatever works. Sometimes I speed up sections of my video and I'm like, that's really not that fast. So that I have to like move it up to 8 times. I'm like, oh, you can still understand what I'm saying. It's so weird. I'm caught up now. Ooh, ooh. And it might have been my Wi-Fi that was lagging a little bit too, or like jumping or skipping or something. Because I got a second ago where it said my Wi-Fi wasn't doing so hot.
Yeah, I've been going back and putting chapters in a lot of my videos, and so I've been watching them at 2x.
Yeah, well, so I haven't been doing it at 2x, but I've started putting chapters in everything, and I think it's really helpful, especially
Yeah.
for the flash fiction live, because if someone wants to jump in and do the prompts, they don't have to watch everything. They can just jump straight to the prompt and then do the sprint if they want to. It makes it a lot easier.
I think it's also been helping people with the podcast episodes I do on Thursdays because there's the main topic, but then there's all the stuff we talk about in the after show that I
Yeah,
leave on the video now.
I love that.
And so,
Hi, SD
yeah.
Houston. Hi, Eva. You could take a base of a lazy Susan to make a moon face turntable.
Ooh,
Ooh, that's a genius idea.
that is an interesting idea.
I'm loving it. So let us know in the comments what you're going to be working on. I'm going to get a timer pulled up. But yeah, I want to know what you're working on.
I am not sure which world I'm going to stick in. I'm probably going to stay in the space opera setting because words have actually been flowing over there, and that's my method for figuring out what I'm working on is
Mm-hmm.
where the words at.
I like it.
So I'm kind of hoping that I can get that project written by the end of January because I think that that's not unrealistic. I've named at least 2 characters to appear in it.
I like it.
I know little to nothing about them. I know the plot of the story because the plot came to me first. It's one of those weird reverse stories where the plot came to me first instead of the characters.
I I'm re-outlining multiple projects. The next one that I need to work on is my trilogy. So it happens in the same world as the project that I haven't finished writing, but I'm going to work on I accomplished my primary goal, which was hitting nano, but my other goal to write 4 books in a year isn't complete because I'm at 50,000 words for the draft, but I think it's going to need another 25,000 words. And I'm just really tired from nano, so I'm kind of replenishing my soul with some world building.
I find world building to be very restorative. I don't I don't know why because it's a similar process to writing and in a way much more intensive because so many things need to have names. But
Hmm.
I find it a lot more I don't know. It's
Yeah,
less stressful for me.
yeah. I don't know if you saw. Hi, Nia. Welcome,
Hey, Mia.
welcome. SD Houston's comment. I heard one person who did a video in 2 times speed and asked his viewers to watch it slower to fool the algorithm into thinking he had great watch time. I I'm interested in this idea. Is it theoretical or does it work? I
Well, I mean,
want.
if it's just counting the minutes they're on the video, I mean, it would technically work
Mm-hmm.
because that video would get double watch time every time somebody did that.
Tis interesting. And as Houston is working on sending emails. Jules, I should be grading. Instead, I'm eating cookies and playing a game. That sounds delightful. I might also get a cookie because it's kind of my dinner time, but I didn't feel like cooking anything tonight. I don't know what I'm going to eat. I haven't had that much of an appetite today, so I'd mostly just want to eat. Oh, maybe I'll have some popcorn and then a couple cookies. That sounds like a healthy dinner.
The hubby is baking a ham right now. So.
Oh, I'm jealous. That sounds amazing. We have some people who are agreeing with Jules that it sounds like a familiar thing. Eva is starting a critique. Was going to start tonight, but I have a migraine, so I'll probably just chill until I go to sleep. That's fair. Shay with the hobbies, how are you? Welcome, welcome. I was watching your interview tonight on Barrett's channel. I had to put a pin in it for a little bit so I could make sure I got all my work done and record some videos because I need one for tomorrow. But I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch it because I missed part of your reading and I was really enjoying that. So yay! Thank you for coming over here. Gonna read the CGL prompts. That's Critique Group Live. Um, and vote during the first sprint. Love it. I need to go over there. I haven't read very many of the prompts because I posted pretty quick. And I try not to read anyone's story until after I've written mine. Ooh, Margaret's eating cheese, jelly. Sent you a message on IG. We'll see how I feel after I shower, but I need to work on my WorldEmber. Big mood, and I will check my IG. Thanks for letting me know. Y'all know I'm so bad about responding to stuff. So if you don't see my response pretty quick and it shows that I read it, you better send me another message because that means I responded to you in my head. just putting it out there.
What have I told you about being relatable? I mean, strumming my pain with her fingers. Like, wow.
It's such a mood though.
You got the Roberta Flack playing in my head. What are you doing?
Listen, you, me, the same. I also want cheese, Megan. Pass the cheese around.
Yeah, I misheard Spence earlier when she said she was making bread, and I thought she was making brie, and now like all I can think about is I want brie.
Ooh, brie on bread. That sounds good. Ooh, the other day though, I made a sandwich with cheddar cheese and the chive and onion cream cheese.
Ooh.
And that was really tasty. I might do that again for dinner. Jules says my username, the dawdling writer, is very appropriate. Also doing some noodling on the side project. Started last night. Love it. From Margaret. Do you remember which channel, Shannon? I'm not
Not off
sure
the
that
top of
was
my head.
in regards to. I think I don't know why I said I think, but I think I missed something. Also doing some new. I read that just now. Sorry, Charlie. Go ahead.
I was just saying I've only been involved with authortube stuff for like 2 years, so if it's one of those channels, that's definitely that was before that. That's why I missed it.
Same seas. Going to be working on my Vela project. Yes, and dealing with the dystopia that is the American school system right now. XP Pizza Demons. School
Yeah.
was canceled for tomorrow because, oh, geez.
Uh-huh.
I'm so sorry. Does not sound like a good time. I was homeschooled, so I know nothing of these woes, but I empathize. I wonder if it worked, but it was shot down. Huh.
Be careful with threats like that, SD, because I have been known to show up for karaoke's.
Yep. Started watching videos on slower speeds when I'm not actually watching and just have a playlist going. Ooh. Put you out here outsmarting the system. Never heard of WorldEmber. Thanks for dropping that reference. Yes, check it out, especially if you're wanting to get into world building. It's similar to Nano, but a little bit less strenuous in as far as the word count. Still, you get a lot done, and it's very productive, and it sparks a lot of thoughts, but it's a chill pace. Started just thinking about it. I was watching everything I could learn how to be successful on YouTube.
And if you need help getting started with world building, I have a podcast called Myth Weaving, where I go through and take you step by step through various methods of world building to help you get started. So.
Definitely check that out. Okay, it was definitely in the before times. Charlie needs to come do karaoke on Margaret's channel in 2 weeks. You have been warned. Be there. Oh, SD Houston is Shannon. Gotcha. I'm with you now. Ryder Tools, how have you been? We're chit-chatting. Oh, is Charlie a sanger? Ears perk up. I've been asking about the channel with the 2 times. Oh, the 2 times speed videos. Duh. I read all that and did not put the brain together with the dumb because it's me too. That was a pretty good riff. Right?
My first album in 20 years is out. It's called Pride by Project Shadow. You can find it here on YouTube or anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Do it. You will not regret it. And Charlie was just singing the Fugees.
Fugees.
Say that again.
The Fugees.
Okay, I've never seen it.
Lauryn Hill.
I've heard the song, but I've never seen the name of the band written out. Killing Me Softly.
I'm going to send you so many links now.
I think I mentioned it was Roberta Flack version. I think they mentioned it was, yes.
Yeah.
I'm always learning. I don't know the OG version.
Yeah, I actually grew up listening to the Roberta Flack version, and then when Lauryn did that glorious cover, like they exist as almost 2 different songs in my head because they're so different yet the same.
Love it. Y'all, we are almost 20 minutes in. Oh God, this is Chandra showing her infancy. No, I know the song. I just don't know the like I've not seen things written down, if that makes sense. Also, it's not even the I mean, yes, I am in infancy in some ways, but I also, you have to remember, I grew up under a rock because culty. And so everything that I know about culture, I have learned post 16, basically. It's a lot to catch up on. Not a 90s teen. I mean,
oh yeah, that was me. I was a 90s teen.
Being super sheltered makes it really hard, but I know a lot about I Love Lucy. Totally like holding out for a hero. Yes, love it. The OG and the Shrek version. So good.
Frou is a great band that needs to put out more albums. Like Imogen Heap, if you're not familiar with her, she is Frou. Like it's her side project. So if you like that song, check out Imogen Heap.
I do love
so
it.
Good.
And I play Imogene in one of my yoga playlists. And it's the one that has the same song that, oh my gosh, it's used in a really popular, I think it's a rap song. And like no one knows that it's been sampled, but it's definitely sampled. Frou is the bomb.
That is so true. So true. But
Okay,
I think I like all of Imogene Heap's music. Like
it's
she,
I love her
she's
sound.
magic. Yeah, she is magic.
All right, y'all. Sprint number 1
Let's do
beginning
it.
in 3, 2, and 1. All right. That was sprint number 1. How did everybody do?
I know where Avery was born now.
This is important. This is progress. I got out my second draft of this project. This is the first book in the series. And I've done some work on the timeline, but the timeline is nowhere near good. It is better. It is not best. And in order to finish the next 3 books in the series, I need to have a solid timeline for book 1. And book 2 is also a timeline trash campfire. And I've got to fix all of that before I even start to look at book 3. So my plan is to outline all 3 books and add all of that in my WorldEmber world building stuff. And maybe do some of the settings. I've already started on the settings because some of the settings overlap with Black-Eyed Susan, which is what I drafted in September, October. And no, it's what I'm drafting now. I lied. I tell lies a lot. So yeah, that's how I did. I drew lines on paper. This is one of the lines that I drew. And then this is like a year and 3 months that I haven't finished yet, but that's what I'm working on. Oh, I also made a cheese sandwich and got a cookie. Everyone was talking about cheese, so it's the cream cheese with chive and cheddar.
That does sound delicious.
Oh, it's so good. And I need more cheese now, so I'm going to add that to my grocery list. Let's see in the comments here how everyone did. Let's see. I was sunk when I heard Breathe. Terrible title for Search, but beautiful song. Dobby, you cannot have my cheese sandwich. I will fight you to the death. Excuse my son. He is rude and a beggar. He acts like he hasn't eaten his food, tried to eat the dog's food, and been trying to eat my food all day. Got some emails done, but then got distracted by YouTube videos. That's what we're here for. I did nothing that sprint. You contemplated. Not for nothing. Read 14 pages of a research book. Love it. What would James say about Chicago city planning? So not side projects after all. Oh, I'm jealous. I'm going to need that book because I have things that happen in Chicago. What time period? I'm curious. Something that I've learned in the process of my researching is that pretty much every city at some point in time had a great fire and burned down, which is very handy for world building.
Or when you just want to do an alternate timeline for a city.
Yes, because you can put things wherever you want to.
Because in the vampire story, I kind of let the War of 1812 get a little out of hand and let New York City get destroyed.
That sounds fun. Also, yes, Margaret, trash can fire timeline is a thing. Me, I am that thing. You want to know about how not to write a timeline? Come talk to me. I can tell you a lot about it. So much. I procrastinated writing, but recorded me reading chapter 1 of my Bella project as a possible marketing tool. I love that, and that is that should count as words since you read it all. So the random files of possible marketing tools I have scattered about me. It's a mood. It's a vibe.
I was just double checking before I said this out loud. I exclusively use Aeon Timeline for my timelines, and it is available for Windows as well as Mac.
I have to check that out. I'm also, though, not allowed to buy any more writing stuff until I do something with one of my projects.
Well, see, the fun thing, see, here's the excuse that I will offer you. It is an all-in-one outlining tool because not only can you do a chronological timeline as far as dates and times and all of that, as well as interconnect them so that you can see how one event leads into the next for cause and effect purposes. You can have them block out time for other events around them so that they can't overlap with other things.
Hmm.
You can have children events inside of inside of an event that will help you determine how long it actually took for it to happen. But on top of that, they also have an outliner and a mind mapper built in that you can then say, add this stuff to my timeline.
I am a fan.
And I have I've been using it for years. I absolutely love it. The third iteration of it that just came out is magic.
I will maybe have to reconsider my notions. Maybe. I
I'm just
decided
saying
which.
it's something to look at because it'll
Yeah,
make your life a lot easier.
I've heard a lot about it, so I definitely need to consider it.
And I don't think you use Scrivener for writing, but if you do, it actually will sync between a Scrivener file. So as you
Yeah, I
move,
don't use Scrivener yet because that's also on my list of things to try, but not allowed to have until I do things with my writing.
because the interconnectedness between the two is also very, very nice. Because you can have it export all of your characters to Scrivener, for example. So you have all of your bios in one place over there as well and
Okay.
keep them
Um,
perfectly in sync.
are you trying to twist my arm or?
No, I'm just saying, you're struggling with this. This is how I got off of the timeline struggle bus. Is I got this software, and at least that part of my life has not been nightmarish pain.
I I am strongly making considerations.
I
Donnie.
think I know what I'm have to get Chandra for Christmas now. I feel like I feel like I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
Chandra's
Probably better
getting
than I do.
timeline software now.
I'm strongly considering it. Strongly. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. T was decided which breads I'm going to bake to give away for holiday gifts. Oh, that's such a fun idea. I haven't done anything for Christmas, so I should probably do something. It's not called Breathe, but Let Go, as many other songs are also called Valid. Don't you hate that though when there's like 75,000 songs with the same name and you're trying to find a very specific one? It's also worse with classical music. I feel is the absolute worst. Whoever decided on what to name classical music should be just dragged out in the snow and have horrible things happen to them.
As somebody who named all of the songs on their most recent album after colors, I feel called out by this conversation.
No, no, that is different. That is entirely different. You know how many like etudes there are?
Oh yeah,
Concerto in
yes I
C
do.
minor. Oh, thank you. That clears it up. Like every composer has a concerto in E minor. Get out of here with that. This is end of rant. Sorry, that's a sidebar. I'm one of not many people who listen to classical music regularly, so probably not a big problem in the grand scheme of things. Ooh, 1909. Okay, so we're about 29 years apart in our time period. 29? Yeah, 29 years apart, but it still sounds interesting. I've tried Aeon. My brain does not compute it.
It really depends on what era that you used it in, because the earliest versions of the software were rough, and it has significantly improved. But yeah, depending on when you tried it, I can see that being a real problem.
Charlie, would you consider making a review of it with some screen grabs and stuff, or like a how-to?
Sure,
That might convince
sure,
me to like.
that's definitely something I could and should do.
I like it. I like it a lot. I don't think I actually recorded it right. I have no idea if an MKV file is a real file or not. But you could always convert it. So, like I do like voice memos, and then I just add it. I can like drag and drop it into my video editing software. Then I have the soundbite. I can export it in different formats too. So I think it should still work. I thought it was Mac only because I think I thought about it and learned it wasn't Windows, but they must have added Windows.
I don't know if it's just starting with 3 or if they finally got there with 2, but I know I just went to the site to check before I said it, and it is it says on their website Mac Windows and iOS.
I'm gonna have to. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to.
They do have a free trial.
Oh,
Like
I'm
no
gonna have to do
features,
it.
free trial. So you don't have to be out any money to find out it doesn't work for you. If it
Okay,
doesn't,
I'm gonna have to do that. Do you hear that, Margaret? You and me, we're gonna have to try it now because they have a free version. Maybe we can buddy struggle through this. Let me know. Yeah, okay, I got it years ago. And new version would work. Maybe the new version, yeah. Well, I also packaged 2 Christmas gifts between Cache and Barrett Stream and this one. Nailed it. Concept album is Mood. Oh, that should be an album name.
concept album is Mood.
Yes.
Well, I don't think I'm allowed to cuss on your stream, so that would be a good place for Baka and Yeet Yeet to go.
Also, you are. I'm not monetized, so I don't think my book is supposed to be in 1893, but I'm wondering far afield. Is Mood. Also, if you want to like buddy on research, I don't know what area your book is taking place in, but if you want to share research, even though the timelines are a bit different, I feel like there's a lot of things that still pertain. And you also stumble across things that you don't need for your timeline, but you're like, this would help someone. So if you're interested in any of my research, you know, because you never know what their grandma's life was like, I'll let you girl. I have a lot of research for the 1880 specifically, but in that time period, for Boston and Louisiana, or specifically New Orleans, and then I'm about to do Chicago. So if you are interested, let me know. OBS is a free software for recording, but it will let you change an MKV file to another file like MP4. See, yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. But yes, OBS is free.
And especially after the villainy of what Streamlabs did, make sure you're getting OBS and not Streamlabs OBS, because I was kind of done with them, and then they were like, "Oh no, you're going to be super done with me now." And yes, I am.
Valid. Do they let you upgrade for free like Scrivener?
If you have, I don't know from what version, but I know my upgrade from 2 to 3 was free.
Okay, good to know.
I was shocked.
Luigi. How are you? Welcome, welcome.
Hello, hello.
I'm going to try with an MP4 and make sure I can put it in iMovie and then figure out what I want to paint draw to be the visual. I love that. I like the phrase buddy struggle. Yeah, that's gonna be us. Me immediately downloads free trial. You'll have to let us know how you like it. I'm using OBS and I legit just figured out how to do that. I did something to my OBS and I haven't really used it since because I can't figure out how to get it back to how it was originally, and thanks, I hate it.
I'd install it and reinstall it again.
Probably gonna have to. I love it, but I'm also just a moron and I can't follow a tutorial, so I gotta reinvent the wheel every time. It's valid. Why are both of those songs me? But at least now you know that it's half the battle.
G.I. Joe.
Have historical fiction around that time period, right at the turn of the century, New York area with Eastern Canada. Ooh, I like it. I'm probably going to have some New York in there. I'm probably going to, let's be real, I'm not going to just stop at a trilogy and 3 standalones. Why am I like this? Boston, Nolans, and Chicago. I am intrigued. Yes, there's crossover as well. So there it is. We're eating more cheese and mandarin to make it healthy. That sounds delicious. Also loving it. I did not do that. I have cheese sandwich and a cookie, and I actually have some grapefruit. Maybe I'll get that.
Well, there's protein and vitamins and nutrients mixed in with all the unhealthy stuff in the cheese, so technically not bad.
Yeah, it's wheat bread instead of white. So look at me. I'm a picture of health.
I would check out an album from Buddy Struggle.
Ooh, yeah. Do it. Make it happen.
Though I feel like that should have been a really like twisted boy band from the 90s. Like I feel like that I'm surprised that wasn't the name of a boy band from the 90s.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a mood. Yeah, it sounds like we three need to form a band, a buddy struggle band. Yes, let's do it. We could make this happen.
You need like a Girls Five Ever theme song.
Thank you for that, Charlie, by the power of Grayskull.
May we all have the power.
On the note of the power, shall we go to sprint number 2? That's it. We have founded Buddy Struggle. Merry band of writers.
I can help produce the tracks.
We need it, so you're hired. I made that executive decision on behalf of the team.
And if anybody wants the use of it, we need to crowdfund or surreptitiously find me a copy of AutoTune because I don't have that.
Here we wait, before I do that, let me make sure I have my banner ready. And I don't because I'm me. Okay. We are doing sprint number 2, which is 20 minutes. I just had to check and make sure it actually was set to 20 minutes. Because I'm no Dobby, and you cannot have my cheese sandwich.
But jeez.
We are ready to begin in 3, 2, and 1. All right, everybody. That is sprint number 2. How did everybody do?
I may have switched over and started taking notes for my vampire romance that I really want to write.
It's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine.
I figured out what's wrong with it. I just haven't figured out how to fix it.
I feel that.
And I thought I may have seen a hint of a whisper of a clue. I was like, I'm just gonna jot notes down until I don't know. I feel like I've done enough.
I did something similar. Well, first of all, I finished my cheese sandwich, and then I got some grapefruit, and then I ate my cookie, and now I'm thinking I might want another cookie. But I'll give it a minute first. Dobby, the answer is no. I already have so much stuff on my desk, but I went through and I pulled out the manuscript I was showing y'all earlier, and I pulled out the chapters that specifically relate to the date that everything hinges on. So I'm going to start there with the timeline and then work out from there. I already have one problem that I found. Okay. And I'm not sure how I did this, but Tuesday is the 23rd is a Tuesday, and I somehow ended up with the 23rd on a Wednesday. So I have to go back and look at everything that I've done and figure out exactly how I went so wrong. I don't know what I'm doing, y'all.
That's called every project ever.
How did I mess that up? It does. Oh, I see. I see exactly where I messed it up now. Also, I want you to know that I wrote the first day as Tuesday instead of Tuesday with a T.
See, after listening to Jace play Graveyard Keeper all day today, I don't think I will ever know the days of the weeks ever again.
Tell me more. I don't know what this is.
No, I know today. I know what. Sorry, I may have a gremlin in the house taunting me from the kitchen.
If the gremlin cooks, it gets to stay, right?
Yes. Stop taunting me with ham. It's out of the oven now.
Oh, I bet it smells delicious. I'm like hallucinating the smell.
Oh, the house is phenomenal. He will soon be whipping all of the butter into the potatoes.
Dobby wishes to be perceived. There, you perceive him? Let go of my shirt. Let go.
Like, no, I want to hold you and never let go and have all of your blood.
Pretty much. Now he's like looking at the dog with evil eyes because he's mad at me. I'm like, don't she didn't do anything to you. Leave her alone. Okay, on the third day, look to the east or Instagram, whichever is more readily available. It is done.
It's kind of like the comet right now. I really want to see it, but I don't have anywhere high enough to go.
Ugh. What comet?
There's a comet that should be visible to the naked eye. If you know how to find the Big Dipper, follow the tail of the Big Dipper. It should point right at it.
Okay, I'm gonna have to maybe
But
go.
it's only visible right now just after sunrise.
Oh, I'm
But
not gonna.
after the 12th, it will be visible just after sunset. But you should have a nice app like Star Walk or something to tell you where Venus is.
Okay, I'm gonna wait till the 12th because I'm not gonna be up that early in the morning.
Yeah.
And I could just take the dog out and hopefully see it. I could maybe go up to the subdivision on the hill and see it from there. I like to find random. Oh, hi Nikki. That's what I was trying to say.
Hi, Nikki.
I like to find random sprint streams whenever I'm struggling with productivity. So safe to say that I'm using these sprints to read my book. Ooh, yay! Dylan is reviewing. Welcome. I did I say that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And since I'm here, this is going to be extremely random sprint stream because I have the attention span of a goldfish. So
Which is why we are peas in a pod. 16 pages read, and the ladies are getting hot. Love it.
I should just give up and write my Victorian romance, shouldn't I? Just like
Yeah, I feel like that's what the universe is telling you because
feel like it is.
Margaret, Mia, myself, we're all in the vibe. So come on over. The water's fine. Just watched YouTube videos, almost my bedtime, so I'm going to say goodnight. Good night. Thank you for joining us. Always love to have you.
Night and night.
I don't know why I can't finish this short story. Maybe you need a break. Maybe you need to kill everyone.
I mean, that is like a good way to make a story be end.
And then they all die.
See, the problem is I write too much horror, so like that would turn it into a novel because now somebody's got to either come back for revenge or a zombie plague breaks out or
Ooh,
some
all
terrible
great
thing.
options.
And now it's a novel.
As one does. 4 pages left, but to be fair, I just joined. Hey, no worries. Great pages to read. We got another sprint. We actually got 2 more sprints coming up. We're a little behind schedule, but it's fine. Ain't no thing. We got a lot of chit chat in to begin with, and everyone was just, updating where they're at and what they're working on. I got the audio re-recorded, and I think it's better this time, less whispery. I mean, I feel like recording audio is a talent, and you do have to practice it, but the more you do it, the better it'll get. So yeah, no worries. Read 4 pages. Yeah, that's still great though. Vampire Romance, same wavelength as one of my side projects. You have found your people. I'm glad the timeline is working for you. Fingers crossed. But so far so good, and I'm gonna try to at least get all the plot points I have in here. I might expand upon them, but once I have the timeline in, especially like the main event, everything else can flex around that. I just got to get it done. Also, I think if I finish a good chunk of this tonight, maybe like get it to 25%, I get another cookie, is what I'm feeling. Cookies are always good. I'm making small edits on draft 1. Yay! And yes, cookies are amazing. These are like sugar cookies, and I don't know how they make them, but they are like crack. They're so good. iMovie is going to make me cry though, because it always does. Is a vibe. I pull the bread out of the oven. It's very pretty. Ooh. I'm reading a cannibalism dystopian, and it has me like, oh yeah. Also, what the name of that book is? Inquiring minds want to know. Chandra, they all die. Can't fix everything. We'll make it still.
That's why
I
I was laughing.
Well, also, so the other day we were all in a stream and we were talking about how to subvert romance plots, and I was like, kill everyone. They were like, that's a tragedy, not a romance.
I don't know. I'm writing a vampire romance that might actually be the romantic ending. Is now everyone be dead now?
To be
Yay!
fair, saying that everyone dying at the end is a Western notion. There are other places where everyone dying at the end is definitely romance.
This is very true.
House of Flying Daggers, hello?
Yeah, but romance readers are some of the most vicious. Like, you do not want to get on the wrong side of a cabal of romance readers. Like they will come for you and your family.
I don't mean. So I saw someone who on Twitter, they were like, I legitimately blocked someone today because they said that they hate that. Oh, they had on their bio they were a loather of romance, and so they blocked them. And I'm like, for declaring that, and I'm like, aren't you kind of doing the same thing though? Declaring that you hate a random person on the internet because they hate a random thing on the internet.
I'm just saying, romance fans and fantasy fans are just like a very special lot. Like if you haven't gotten your hate mail from for not hand lettering your map, woo, life's fun. Life's fun.
Wow. Yeah, I'm gonna do wonderful because I write tragedy,
How
and I
dare you
think
use
I think
fonts?
it's romantic. I think it's romantic tragedy. I think it fixes things a lot. Tender is the flesh of August by Augustina Beztrickia.
I'm not trying.
I tried my best.
We all know that mispronouncing things is kind of my thing. So no.
It's about a future where animals get a disease that can't be eaten, so they start eating humans instead. You know what this reminds me of? Book of Eli, when they run into that couple and they're like they're shaking and they're like, "Would you like some food?" And they've got meat and he's like, thank you so much for the tea. We're just gonna head out now." Got mad at iMovie, so I downloaded Premiere Pro, and yeah, that's gonna be no fun for me. Going back to iMovie. Uh-oh. I am a romance reader who will come for people that try to sell me a book they call a romance, except it was without a happily ever after. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Most of the time, my problem with romance is more so like Christine Feehan, and I know there are people who love Christine Feehan, but I started one of her books because there was an offer for one of her other books for free, and I like to read everything sequentially. So I went and I got the first book and started reading it, and I made it 2 chapters in before I wanted to um, dig my own eyes out with a spoon. So I was like, maybe no. It was that bad. It was just a word that rhymes with grapey, and um, I couldn't do it. Like it.
Yeah.
That's not romance.
Yeah. No. Like.
Stop marketing that as romance.
Yeah.
If I
I
read a book that has a happily ever after and it's marketed as romance, there will be some cheesy parts, and that's okay. I'm signing up for that. I'm not signing up to be assaulted by a book. And I think that's fair.
I think one of my biggest hang-ups when it comes to writing romance is I just remember the response to "In the Light of the Moon," and I think that is an extremely romantic story. You can read it for free on my Dragons of Night World Anvil site. It's up there. Um, but quite a few people did not see that as a romance. It does have a happy ever after, though. Spoiler alert.
I mean, also, I feel like if you kill off both your characters, but they get to ghosty spend the rest of their life together, is that not a happily ever after?
I think there was too much blood in it for their taste, for most people's taste.
I'm not the one to judge that because I'm like, more blood, more violence, and everyone's like, what's wrong with you? Well, a lot, and I don't think we have time for that. I try to put that burden on my therapist. Adding Book of Eli to my Goodreads to be our now. I've not read the book, but the movie, yeah. So I definitely would read the book though. I really enjoy it. Also Denzel Washington. I'm not a big happy romance person, so if someone dies, I love it more. Have I got a tale for you? Only when I finish writing it. What about the story of our lives? Let's do.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there was the one short story that I had been trying to sell a while back, and I sent it to a. I thought it was a horror story, so I sent it to a horror magazine, and they were like, "No, this is a romance story. You should send it to." And they actually told me the publication to send it to, and I was like, "Well, I can see how you could see this as a romance story," so I sent it to them, and then I got a letter back from them asking me to never send them another story, that this was not romance, and if they received another story from me, they would get a restraining order to keep me away from them.
What?
And I'm like, "What? What? Okay, well, I guess it is a horror story then."
That was a bit extreme.
The best part is it was based on a true story about the night I met a Calvin Klein model at a club.
So, you know what's even funnier about that, though, is that you were recommended to send it there by someone else, and it sounds like they were using you to troll the other
Oh
company.
yeah, I was a weapon. I did not know I was a weapon, but
They were like, "Mwahahaha."
it was based on a romance in real life that was kind of, yeah,
Horrifying.
interesting.
How does one confuse romance and horror?
How long do you have? I'm going to write one of these days. I will write my memoirs, and it'll be very clearly laid out in there.
Charlie being weaponized.
Oh yeah, just I wish I could find my big envelope of rejection letters, because that was one of my favorites.
Oh. Oh, look, iMovie has started pissing me off already. It's frozen, but still playing the audio, and I can't stop it. That sounds really upsetting. I would be upset. My YouTube does that, drives me crazy. Yeah, especially when you hit the mute button on the computer and it still won't work. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
Bobby? I said no.
But I exist, and all the worlds must know. I mean, in fairness to the cat, you did name them Dobby.
I know, but I didn't expect him to actually like me.
Yeah, but he's playing the Dobby role. I mean, just like getting in the way, causing problems. I mean, eventually he will save you from a dagger to your heart. So I mean, like, there is that.
Wish he would hurry. I'm just kidding. That was horrible. No, don't mean that.
Chandra, maybe she was right. Maybe you can't solve everything with, and then they die.
I do love him, I swear. Okay, we're gonna sprint now before I'm gonna put the shovel down. All right, y'all. Sprinting in 3, 2, and 1. Hello, everyone. That was sprint number 3. How did everybody do?
I ate dinner and watched a video where a guy tried to debunk both Isaac Newton and Einstein with a magnet and a whiteboard, and he failed. So he didn't realize he failed, which made it really funny. He failed so hard.
Don't those just make you smile?
Yeah. I mm, there's a certain like cousin of Schadenfreude. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm sure there's a German word for it that
Yes.
I
Dobby,
rather enjoy from watching these things.
what are we going to do with you? It's not even that I would mind him being up here, but he won't be up here in a civilized sort of way. Because he's an orange tabby and ow! Pretty much.
All your blood belongs to the cats. Do you not understand this?
I really wish I didn't, but I'm learning.
It is our title of serfdom that we must pay our tithe in blood periodically to
Seriously, though,
appease our sinister feline overlords.
I think it's time to trim his claws again, too, before he really does damage. Welcome,
We just went
Stu
outside. Never.
Wilmot. I don't know if this is. I'm not understanding this comment. Do elucidate. I swear if iMovie freezes again just because I open it, I'm gonna start cussing in the chat. Do it. Do it. I think that the universe is daring you, maybe. Wow, I never seen Underwater Timer. Yes, this timer is from Laura Nettles. If you haven't checked out her channel, you should go do that. She has amazing timers.
And everything else. Laura is just amazing.
It's a true fact. Hi everyone, I'm going to work on something, then join the next sprint. Love this play. Ow, ow, ooh. I have to be careful with that side because this is the rib that I popped into my spine and it just
Oh,
every
yeah.
once in a while it whinges and I also whinge.
Yeah, be very careful with that.
It's deeply unpleasant. Hi Heather, welcome,
Hello,
welcome.
Heather.
Margaret out here killing it. Read 16 pages of Scythe, more plot holes. This mood, I found 11 million plot holes, and all I did was work out the timeline for the end of one day and the beginning of the next day. And I'm going to have to break it down even further, but at least I had the general events in order. But I'm going to have to get really nitty gritty with this specific part of the timeline. But at least I know that now. I just finished up an update for my website. Ooh, awesome sauce.
That is a thing what I need to do so badly.
I know. I've started on my website like 5 times, right? Like I have a link tree and that's where it is right now, but I'm trying to like get an actual website up and running and I've started on it at least 10 times. It is what it is. I was just looking at my WorldEmber page and feeling overwhelmed. I must be tired. Listen, I haven't even looked at it, so you're well ahead of me. You're doing great. Only if they're vampire cats. I don't believe a house elf trends vampire.
I mean, fair, but Dobby Dobby as a feline overlord is entitled to all the blood that Dobby wants because that's the deal that we make.
You know the part of the movie where Dobby is like, I did not want to kill Harry Potter, only seriously maim or injure.
Yes.
That is this one. But also Toby's. And he's purring so hard, like he's really happy about doing bodily harm. I don't know if you can see his sleepy blinking, but he's so cute.
He's so cute.
He's like, I win. No, you don't. That's the problem with us is we're both very stubborn. Spam could be. Cats. He had a look of love on his face, though. He does, and that's what makes it so difficult when he wounds me. How are you
That's
taking
just how you
questions? You just put them in the chat. I have 3 decks that I use, vice versa. My steampunk deck and True Black.
be warned. Her cards speak truth.
They do, and they're petty.
I mean, they don't cut me as bad as Spence's cards do, so like I'm grateful, but
I don't know how he does that, but he always warns me, and then he comes from a different direction than the meow comes from. He does a little like chirp, like he's playing a game, and nobody wants to play with him. Do not do that to the dog. I can see the wheels turning, and the answer is no. He got mad at her earlier just because existing, and he just walked up to her and smacked her in the face 3 times, and I was like, dude, stop it. Got the audio fixed, and iMovie didn't freeze on me again.
woohoo!
Now to decide if I'm committing to it or going around asking people for head pats before making it a real thing. Well, head pats are a real
Do all
thing.
the things.
Okay, Scooter Wilmot. What is going to on with my living arrangement with a Vista housing? Oh, gotcha. I'm with you now. In Limerick, Maine. Vista housing seems to be chaotic. Okie doke. Let me know what deck you want. There's True Black, Steampunk, or vice versa. I'll keep an eye out for it and I'll grab it during the sprint. And then after our last sprint, I will do your reading because I usually do like questions during the sprint and then read it at the end of the next sprint. So I'm going to stick to that just so it gives you some time to pick your deck. But with that, we can dive right into the next sprint, which will be 15 minutes. I'm going to use the one that I usually start with because I can. And we're going to share screen.
Hi.
And let me make sure that the timer is in. Oh, it's just going to go without us?
Of course it is. Don't you understand? We are superfluous to all of this.
There we go. Down the steampunk. Okie doke. We will do that right after the next sprint, which will begin in 3, 2, and 1. Alright, y'all. How we doing? How'd everybody do? I made good progress. I have more to do, but I made really good progress.
I may have been in Discord helping Kat you learn how to use Aeon Timeline.
So, when's the video coming out?
Apparently much higher on my priority than it was before.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
I think there's something in the air. That's what I'm blaming it on. I canceled my stream today because, like, by the fifth time I heard Jace basically like, "What, you don't have a reply to that?" And I went, "Oh yeah, I normally would make a really like nasty sexual innuendo right now, and I didn't." Hmm.
So, I might be bleeding. My cat may have done a murder to me. He's really been on a bender this stream. I don't know what it is. Why does it feel so much later? Because I've been on live streams all damn day. I think I need to disconnect y'all, but seriously, Chandra, check my G. Yes, I need to. I need to do that for two reasons. Margaret, have a wonderful evening. Get some rest. Thank you for coming. Why am I not functioning tonight? Have you also been on streams all day? Good question. It's just a question. Hi, Matt. Welcome. Are you accepting questions yet? I am accepting questions. You can go ahead and leave yours in the chat. I will just do two tonight. I already have one, so I will take yours as well. That is all for the sprinting. So I will just wait for updates on everybody, and I will start to pull cards for Scooter's question. I'll also say I'm really excited about Johnny. Do not eat that. Not that. I am really excited about the direction that my timeline is taking, and I feel that I'm about to fix my book, which is super exciting because it's been in the works for a while. Also, everything's falling off my desk, and that's fine.
Yeah, I realized the problem with my book is the location.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So I'm wondering if that might actually be fixed if I change the time period the story takes place in.
That is fair.
But that's why I said I haven't figured out how to fix it. But yeah, there's something the the physical setting does not work the way I wanted it to.
Don't you hate that though?
So I mean, it would be the story would that I have outlined would work well if, and I wouldn't have to change much if I relocated it to the pansy craze of the 1920s.
I feel like you have your answer. I mean, if you don't like it, you can always change it back, or you've already got a lot of work done on it, so you just go back to what you already have. But it's worth a shot.
Because there'd be some things that have to be that would have to be slightly rewritten,
Yeah,
but most of the story would probably work then as well, except for, of course, the main locations would both be speakeasies because
valid.
our country was a trash fire, has been a trash fire, and apparently will always be a trash fire. So
Welcome to planet Earth. It's fire and trash, and that is how we like it.
I mean, the nice thing is Bellari, which is one of the places that the story takes place in, is already mentioned as having had been a speakeasy during Prohibition.
Oh,
So
well, it's kind of like my story where it takes place on the corner of Vixen and what's the name of the street? It's an actual place though in Algiers. I can't think of the other street, but it's a great pun. Um,
And for anybody who doesn't understand the phrase that I used, it was at the time referred to as the pansy craze. It was chic to be gay in New York, and people went to all kinds of same-sex dance parties. Oh my! Can you just imagine? Let's take your wife to see the men dancing together. It's amazing, isn't it? Let's go watch it like it's a zoo.
I mean,
It was a thing.
and what has changed?
Uh, we can drink openly now.
But where's the lie? That's funny.
The music is not exclusively jazz.
I did take a jazz swing class, and that was a lot of fun. I used to do that. I want to go back to doing that. But
When I was younger and had better knees, a friend of mine and I used to go swing dancing all the time.
that was the one thing I didn't like about it is there were some pretty like creepy people that I didn't want to dance with. And I mean, they always had this like, hey, no means no. You don't have people don't have to have a reason for not wanting to dance with you. So just be respectful. There was always like this one person who was just like real, just creepy, and I was like, please, please no.
It's the one thing that gets forgotten in all of the 90s nostalgia that during the 90s there was actually a weird 1920s nostalgia wave
Mm-hmm.
and swing music came back for a brief period of time.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. Of course, I wasn't allowed to listen to the radio, so that might
And
explain.
so there were at least in Maryland where we were, there were swing clubs that opened and you could go dancing and they actually had like big bands playing and everybody was dressing up in their finery.
Matt, if you're still here, I am accepting questions. Just drop it in the chat and let me know which deck you would like me to use. I have Steampunk, True Black, and vice versa. Hi, Mr. Vlandus. I hope I said that correct. All right, and let me begin the read. I just need one more card. As always, Charlie, chime in if something strikes your mind. This last card is being real petty, though. I've got the rest of the story. It's just like, okay, thank you. Thank you. I didn't mean anything by it.
Hey Barrett.
Barrett, hi, hello. What are you doing up so late? Welcome. We love to see it. We start off with the Page of Wands, which is a young, passionate energy finding something new to be excited about. We follow that up with the Ace of Swords, which is a new way of thinking.
I'll be right back.
And in this specific case, there's like all this like machinery and stuff behind there, so it's not just a new way of thinking, but a new way of doing things. We have the Five of Pentacles, which is the feeling of not having enough.
Yeah. It can also be a quest for justice or revenge.
Oh, I've never read it that way before, but I can see it. I can certainly see it. It's interesting because there's a bit of conflict here around what's happening. There's this new idea, the new way of thinking and doing things that one is excited about, but also feeling like there isn't enough. We have that followed up by the King of Cups, which is the true masculine energy around the heart space or emotions. So being maybe also hidden emotions, hidden feelings around the situation, something that you're not telling anyone really about the situation.
Was
Maybe
it inverse or straight up?
straight up.
Okay.
And maybe even being putting on a brave face. We have the Page of Swords, which is again this young energy, enthusiasm around this new thought process and way of doing things.
Ashley, she's doing one more question after this, and I didn't see Matt put his in, so
Yeah, no question from Matt, so I can do one more.
yeah, if you have a question, go ahead and put it in chat.
And choose your deck. I have True Black, Vice Versa, and Dobby. Ow. And ow,
And
ow.
Tommy's like, and you have me.
And Murder. And Steampunk, True Black, and Vice Versa. So the Page of Swords is this new the enthusiasm, which is interesting because we have the Page of Wands and the Page of Swords. So it's like this whole idea with the new way of thinking and doing things, but feeling like there's not enough of something and then putting on a brave face about it. Almost like you feel like you have to be enthusiastic about this transition.
I often feel when there's that much masculine energy in a reading that there's often something more controlling, more take charge.
Mm-hmm.
If controlling is not the right word, then take charge in the situation. That
Mm-hmm. Like I have to do this.
yes,
We follow that up with the Queen of Wands, which is the feminine energy around passion. And it's kind of, I get what I want, followed by the Ace of Wands, which is a new, I want to say passion project, it's kind of, there's a mirroring because the Ace of Wands sits below the Ace of Swords. We then have, the Knight of Cups, which is, it is not as, it is a similar energy to the Page in that it is young, but it is not naive in the Page of Cups kind of way, if that makes sense. There's an awareness to the enthusiasm and the approach to the new situation, that things are not always perfect or don't always come out the way that we think they will or should, but we still not have to, but we still choose to approach the situation and embrace it and do what needs to be done. We then have the Three of Swords, which is a three-party situation where not everyone is aware of what's going on. Within this context and the context of your question, I would say that's not specifically a romantic relationship, but it is some kind of relationship where there's ulterior motives or someone is hiding something and not being completely upfront about it, even if you're being upfront about what you want, which is interesting because that sits below the King of Cups, and the King of Cups is what I had described as putting on a brave face. So it may not even be that the thing that they're being secretive about or hiding is negative. It may just be something that they feel cannot be shared.
yeah. I often think of the Three of Swords as coming to a truer understanding, even if it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
It's that whole truth is a double-edged sword kind of
Yeah.
thing, and yeah.
Yeah, and I can definitely see that within this situation, especially within
Mm-hmm.
this context of maybe not showing your feelings on the situation, but being fully aware of how things are shaking out, which is interesting because most of this story is about um, this almost adventure and new approach to life in a situation, but there is still that underlying feeling of not having enough and putting on a brave face and coming to terms with that. And then the last card is the Four of Cups. And you can see he's kind of sitting there staring at what's on the table. And there's wine in one cup, but the other two are empty. And he's not even really looking at them. It's like he's looking past them. So even the positive things in the situation seem to escape his focus. and it's about
I'm over here by the pieces.
it's this is I feel like the reading in and of itself is part of the awareness, the three-party situation, the two-edged sword that Charlie was mentioning. To not to feel like you have to put on a brave face, but also part of the Five of Pentacles energy, the feeling that there is not enough, is being fostered by the Four of Cups of not looking on the bright side, and not even the bright side, because I feel like that's cliche in a positive, negative, not negative positivity, toxic positivity kind of way.
Yeah, the Four of Cups can be read as either emotional compassion or compassion towards the emotions of the situation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we go.
And the one thing that I'm noticing is there's also a lot of youthful energy in a lot of the cards that are here. Like there's a lot of young, new beginning, young, new beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder if there's an element possibly of naivete or innocence here
Yes.
that it's not so much a secret as possibly something you didn't think to ask.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yes. Yes. And I think
Because
the
of your unfamiliarity with the subject.
yeah, and I think the Five of Cups reflects that, because it's like, wait, there's not this thing that I just kind of assumed would be here. And the Three of Swords is the awareness of like, oh wait, no, everything isn't the way I thought it was going to be in this situation. Um, and that's the underlying reason for having to put on this brave face. But also with the Four of Cups, there's that reflection on, if only I had known, but overlooking the things that went well or the lessons learned, even if they are painful. So take the time to fully understand the situation. And if
Mhm.
there's something that you really expect, no, I don't want to say something that you really expect out of this transition, but be clear on what you want out of the transition. And then ask clarifying questions around that. To be very clear about, if you're very clear about what you want and why this is a good idea for you, or maybe even why it is not, you may find, not you may find, you will find the answer in that you can go into this situation, because it may not be something that you have a lot of options about. It maybe it's something that you have to do, but going into it with the approach of clarity around the situation and what it is that you want will mean that if it doesn't work out, you have that awareness and you know what you're looking for moving forward, and that your disappointment is because of this, not because there's anything necessarily wrong with it, but just because it doesn't meet your needs.
Mhm.
And by approaching it with the does this meet my needs perspective, it's not so much a disappointment as it is an opportunity to learn and grow from it and say, well, I've checked that off the list and this doesn't work for me. And now I know that this is indeed what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I just keep thinking about how, because again, with all the water, I think in here, the Weaver priestesses used to sit around the reflecting pool and they would whisper their prayers over the water, but their prayer was as much them recognizing themselves in the world and the reflection on the surface of the water as it was the words and intentions that they were putting out. They had to learn to see things as they were,
Mm-hmm.
as well as how they wanted it to be. And that was a big part of their life. And I had those stories going through my head as you were talking. And I'm just like, wow, you're telling the same story as the one that's going through my head. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. It. I mean, this deck doesn't lie.
I tend to be more metaphorical in all my stuff, which is problematic for some.
I can understand that. Will you hold the fort down for me while I run and get my vice versa tarot? It's not in the same
Sure.
room. I'm going to just tuck this away, and Charlie will be your host. And I will be right back.
As she's running to grab the other deck, how has everybody's day gone? We're going to do one more tarot reading, and then, as I understand the schedule for the evening, that is going to be it for us today. And this is kind of a joke, Ashley, but as a Scorpio in the room, run from the Scorpios. We're problems. We are nothing but trouble. But that's my own bias and internal feelings coming out there. Um, I hope everyone has been having a very good day today, though. You're muted, Chandra.
I was chuckling when I was hearing the Scorpio part.
Oh yes, we are nothing but trouble.
My brother is a Scorpio.
I married a Scorpio. We're two Scorpions in one house. I mean,
How are you?
till January we will have been married for 25 years. So pretty good.
It's working. It's working. No, I always tease my brother and one of my good friends because they're both Scorpios, and I'm like, I can't date a Scorpio. I'm too mean. And Scorpios aren't going to say anything about it until they say everything about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just be wary if I ever have that like angry look in my eye and start a sentence with, I just have to say one thing. Because it's not going to be one thing. It's going to be all the things as a universal whole. Like, let me explain. I'm going to show you the Matrix and why you need to be crying right now.
Do Aries and Scorpio get along? That is a loaded question.
That really is. I mean, I think anybody can get along with anybody. One of my best friends for that I have actually maintained a relationship with for most of my life is a Virgo, and we really should not get along. Like for so many reasons. Like this, I could write a laundry list for you, including that. But yeah, I think most people can get along if they want to get along. That's the biggest thing. There is there that desire to want to do it? Because the desire to have people in your life can really move mountains if both of you want that. If only one person wants that, then it's called stalking.
Or codependency.
Or codependence.
Which also can be stalking. To give a more concise answer, Aries and Scorpio can get along, but they can also really not get along.
Oh yeah. See, it depends on what their key passions are and whether they are in unison or not. Because us Scorpios, we like to put up our walls and then attack anything that tries to get in it. The reason we've been together so long is we happened to draw the walls around the same thing and then went, "Ooh, can you get my back?" And and attacked everything else.
I have 6 cards down. I need 4 more. But before I even start reading, I just want to make a statement. Do not confuse. Do not confuse twin flame with soulmate. It will hurt your damn feelings.
Because most people don't actually understand where the concept of soulmates came from. And it's a really, really old idea that goes back to about the 12th century. It's one of the first times it was written down. And it was the idea that at the beginning, there was one primordial being that shattered into all the people that exist now. And if your soul was close to another person's soul when that breaking apart happened, then you are meant to come back together at some point. It wasn't a this is the one person for me for my entire life. It was these are the people that you will often be incarnated with. It is these are the people that you will naturally gravitate to. In fact, in a lot of these early writings, you find phrases such as soul gravity, which is you just find yourself mesmerized and attracted to be in the presence of those people that your primordial soul was closest to back in that unified state, and that has been hallmarkized and romanticized into this idea of there's just one person out there for you.
And that idea can be really harmful and
Yeah.
toxic, especially if that person is a toxic person.
Oh yeah,
And
and
I
it can be
know
easily weaponized.
a lot of people don't like the idea of calling people toxic, but it's not to say that a person can't change. But if they're going through something, and I say this as a person who went through stuff, there's a point in my life where I was pretty toxic, and I couldn't help that. That was due to some life experiences. That's not a condemnation of me or other people who are going through a toxic phase in their life, but you can't make those people better. They have to want to get better themselves. So
Mm-hmm.
if you feel like you have to stay around that person because they're your twin flame and you're supposed to end up together, you're really going to hurt yourself. As I like to say in my readings, why are you hurting your own feelings? Because once you find out that somebody doesn't treat you right, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all that and whatnot. Does your soulmate last forever or your twin flame? I'm looking for my marriage forever partner.
I I will say that when you go back to the ideas of soul gravity that I was talking about, these are the people that, like, much in a cloud atlas kind of a way, you will always be incarnated near them. They will always form some part of your life, and kind of like the goddess Durga, who was fated to always be with Shiva. One way or another, you will find your way together no matter what is going on with you. That does not mean forever. I mean, many of the incarnations of Durga died young, or for other reasons, just like Kali tried to kill Shiva on many occasions because I mean he kind of deserved it. I mean, like, so like just because you're going to be around each other and together does not always mean that it's going to be a beautiful, wonderful thing.
I have thoughts and feelings about this reading, and I apologize in advance. We Thank you, Bonnie. Have a good lurk. We start off with the Four of Pentacles, which you can see is a king sitting looking out a window. All the elements are present here, and there are four pillars in the background, which you can see kind of look like towers. So sorry.
And that's the card of material kindness, also. So that could also mean that a gift was given.
Mhm. Within the context, and it also being because this is the reversal.
Oh, so
This
something could have then something was. Oh,
That's the front, yeah. So it's reversed, which is
yeah. So something
um,
was taken away.
and we then have the four of not the four, the page of swords, which is this. I'm sorry, the knight of swords, which is this the conscious thought of moving forward and going into the unknown, to quote Frozen 2. and which is actually an appropriate analogy. So maybe go watch Frozen 2. There might be a message there for you. We then have Cancer. Is that Cancer? Yeah. Chariot is Cancer, but it also has a Pisces on its back. But Cancer is the card of movement, forward momentum, going places. But it's also, in this context where it's reversal, it is not, something is being left behind. There is movement. What kind of reading did I lurk into? Yeah, the question is
Somebody getting a flat tire. Sorry, that's the feeling I'm getting from this. Is just like,
we have the Nine of Swords.
Oh no! I'm sorry.
In reverse.
Oh, ow!
And you can also see there's a shadowy figure to this side. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a shadowy figure. So this is what the front of the card looks like. This is the back, and it's really observing it. This card is anxiety. It's sleeplessness, and that is followed by
something did wrong. That's the way I often think of that.
the Fool in reverse.
Ach, my Liebe.
Also, there's a comet in the sky, and I don't usually place things in time, but Charlie and I were just talking about.
Yeah, there's currently a comet in the sky through this, I think, 16th.
I usually do not put timelines on things. Also, I want to say there's like the flowers dropping, like he loves me not. I usually don't do relationship readings because I'm not a nice person. I'm not a nice person, but my decks are really mean about stuff. So we follow that up with the Five of Cups. This is not in reverse. There's also a Scorpio. Oh, there's a scorpion calling out a Foot of the Cups.
Yes, emotional judgment. The card of emotional judgment.
Also Scorpio.
Because that's the poison coming out of the cup.
Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing is 3 of the cups have spilled, and there's 2 that are behind the figure who's observing, but they're not, like, the figure isn't paying any attention to what's behind. There's the 3 of Swords.
Again? Why are we getting that so much tonight?
Which is the 3-party situation that not everyone is aware of. However, this is what the front of the card looks like. So it's in reverse. And there's a blue carnation. I feel like blue carnations have to do with death, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that it's in reverse, this is the awareness of the Chariot, which is Cancer, which is the emotions, which is moving away from something or leaving something behind. This has the same feel to it of being aware that that something's being left behind. And on the other side, like, you can also see there's someone over here mourning the situation.
And if we're talking about reversed, this is also often a factual misunderstanding.
Yep. We have the 4 of Cups in reverse.
In reverse. So a lack of emotional kindness.
As if we hadn't noticed. This is where the reading takes a turn. We have the Magician. Again with the comet.
Again with the comet.
And then we have the Ace of Cups. First of all, this is telling a story about my past, and I don't appreciate it. And second, I feel like that makes my take on it a bit more relevant as someone who was really into the idea of twin flames and soulmates and stuff for a while. If you approach a situation with past heartbreaks in mind, it will steal a lot of joy from the present.
Preach.
All of these cards in the top row, every single one of them, the Four of Pentacles, the Knight of Swords, the Chariot, the Nine of Swords, and the Fool are all in reverse. They all have their back turned.
Run towards the battle.
From my perspective as the reader, this is being left behind. It is also, with the Four of Pentacles, it is looking at tower moments. And it's usually like a tower moment. No, there are moments here. There are 4 moments specifically. And then there are 4 cards: the Knight of Swords, the Chariot, the Nine of Swords, and the Fool. These are options. They're not good options.
Oh, there's one we missed.
This is about, at the same time, with presenting of the options, there's another option that's not laid out, that doesn't involve this being left energy. Where in the first situation, it is a difference of ways of thinking where someone is moving in a fundamentally different way of thought, even though they are not sure what where the path leads, they have to go. There's the Chariot, which is just general movement. It's also emotional movement. Cancer is water, emotion, feeling. Cancer also tends to be with the strongest of emotion. And it's an emotional disconnection. And then the Nine of Swords is this anxious, can't sleep, concerned about something that isn't even necessarily there. It is perceived but not a fact. Followed by the Fool, which is the idea of chasing something better. The grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And in the Fool energy, it is not understanding that the grass is greener where you water it. The Five of Cups, where emotional, did you say emotional cruelty? Is that how you put it?
And that's one way to see it. It's that this is the fives are cards of judgment. They can either be judgment or strength, depending on how they're inflected, because that's where we get a lot of our power from, is being able to judge rightly. But and so then it can be a strength, but if we're not judging right, it's condemnation, it's cruelty, it's judgment.
Here's the thing about that. The judgment, this is where the option comes in, because you can see there's the three cups on the ground, right in the foreground, and the 2 in the back that are not the focus here. But with the Magician, what we know is you are in control of where you put your focus.
Yes.
In all elements. That's as far as the pentacles, that's wands, that's swords, that's cups, which is emotion. You get to make the situation into what you want it to be. I want to point out that while the Fool is looking towards the comet is happening at the Magician's back. This says that with all of these situations of being walked away from, just because it appears that they're walking away from you doesn't mean you haven't turned your back on those situations. The perspective that you're not seeing in this card is that the king is sitting there facing the towers, but he can always get up and walk away in this direction
Yep.
towards self.
Yep.
The focus cannot be on the others and the leaving. Be the one to turn your back on situations that do not serve you and choose self. The death here isn't the self dying or the end of the relationship or relationships. It is the prioritizing of oneself, the death of a way of thinking. This is a swords card, so it's about thought. The carnation is there to symbolize death. Death is a new beginning. It is not just an end, it is being able to see beyond the end of the situation. In the Four of Cups, even though it is in reverse, there's the spilled cups in the foreground. But what you're not paying attention to necessarily is the ship that is coming in. That is a future state, but when you look at that, as far as the cups that are spilled on the ground, you can sit there on the ground and pine over the spilled cups. I also want to point out that we have four cards on the top row. There are 4 cups here. You can sit there and mull over what is lost here, the spilled milk proverbially, or you can see what's happening on the ship that's coming in. This is the magician here is reminding that you are the one who gets to make those decisions. And that choosing self isn't bad. It isn't wrong. It doesn't mean you're taking away from someone or that you don't care about them or even love them, but you will not prioritize their well-being above your own.
It's important to remember that the Magus is the opposite of the Hangman, and that the Hangman sacrificed to gain wisdom. The Magus studied hard to get it. He didn't take the easy path. He didn't take the shortcut. That's why he's not hanging from his ankle with one eye missing over the well of Erd, waiting for wisdom to drip into, into him from the cosmos. The Magus went out there. That's actually what the image is on the Hangman card, the traditional image on the Hangman card. Um, the Magus went out there and found it and took and laid their hands on it. And going to what Chandra said, never go into a relationship hoping that it will complete you. It will not. It This is really one of those places where 1+1=1. If you don't come into a relationship with your full self and they don't come into the relationship with your full self, it's never going to add up. It's a very sad thing to, when you realize that either one or both of you are looking to get something out of the relationship. The relationship itself is a third entity. It is when that's why, when I was saying earlier 1+1=1, there's the 2 separate people in there and the relationship itself. And if it can't stand on its own, if it can't be its own thing, then it won't survive. And that's what I'm getting a lot of vibes here. I found myself, while Chandra was talking, thinking about, there's this wonderful story that Joseph Campbell used to tell, where he said that true love is what remains when the object of our desire has the audacity to show us who they really are. And all that mask, all of that wishing, all of that hoping, all of that dreaming that we've projected onto the other person has gone away. And so if you don't approach the relationship with that certainty of self, and they're not approaching the relationship with that certainty of self, when that mask breaks, when that illusion breaks, because it will, you don't realize at the beginning of a relationship how much you're projecting your idealized lover onto the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And then they will inevitably disappoint you because they're not a figment of your imagination.
Yeah.
They will do they will do something of their own free will and shatter that illusion. So as long as you're approaching the situation with that strength and knowledge, you can get through. But if you or one of the other two people is looking for a sense of completion from this relationship, it's it is either not time for it yet, and the person who needs completion needs to find that for themselves first and then go for the relationship, or it's just not going to work.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's an important point that you made, Charlie, that this isn't, even as doom and gloom as it sounds, it's not saying that there is no hope for a relationship. It's saying that the approach to the relationship is the key here.
Yeah.
It is a warning, not saying leave this, but have the awareness when you go into this situation that if you approach it in these ways, it cannot work.
Yeah, the hubby and I broke up 4 times before we figured out how we actually worked together.
Mm-hmm.
It took time, but we were committed to the idea of there being an us. It wasn't me pursuing him or him pursuing me. We were committed. We kept coming back to this idea of there should be an us, and that's what kept us together through all of it. But
Mm-hmm. I also, here's another point. Looking at your question again, there's three. There's you and two other people that you're talking about in this situation,
yeah,
and here is the vision, the what it looks like facing outward to the other individuals, where they can't see the way that you're starting to rethink things. And I also want to say this the last card in the reading is the Ace of Cups, which is a new approach to relationships.
Look and see if they're still rooting.
It's a sort of starting over, but I also want to point out that the sign of the magician card is an I, or
yep,
Roman numeral I,
yep.
and the Ace of Cups is 1, so it comes out to I1. Just going to throw that out there.
And I don't think compatibility is really that simple,
Yeah.
because relationships are a complex and messy beast. And granted, remember, I'm coming at this from somebody who's been in a 25-year marriage, right? I mean, we've had ups, we've had downs, we've had things that have spun us around left, right, and center throughout all of it. And there's a lot of complexity that comes into this. The most important thing is often not personality, it's having similar goals and ambitions. It's about having wanting to grow together and become better together. I am not the same person that I was when we got together. He's not the same person he was when we got together.
Mm-hmm.
We complement each other in a way that we kind of help to smooth off each other's rough edges. And it's that complementality, I think, that gets confused for the idea of compatibility. You don't honestly want to be with somebody that you fit together with too well. I had that. Like, we were opposite sides of a coin. I mean, we were just like the exact same person in so many ways, but we never challenged each other. And the relationship was honestly quite dull and boring because there we had what we wanted. There was nothing. What else is there?
There's no
And
opportunity
we
for growth.
yeah, and we ended up drifting apart. So, you know, I think the idea of compatibility gets very simplified when a lot of people talk about it, because
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of elements there. I mean, we when we first got together, we didn't like the same kinds of music. We didn't like the same kinds of TV shows. We did not like the same kinds of movies. We, I mean, I went to an art school. He was a football player. Like these are not, we were not, on paper compatible
Mm-hmm.
people in so many ways,
And that's the other thing about compatibility. It's not so much compatibility, but areas where you will find challenges.
Yeah.
And as Charlie was saying before, it's not so much about the challenges, it's about how you decide to face them. If both people are willing to face those challenges, then the challenges don't matter because you're a team.
I hate to bring the preacher out here a little bit, but there's a phrase in the Bible that always gets misunderstood, and that's "don't be unequally yoked." And
Mm-hmm.
what that's actually referring to is you're both going to be pulling the cart of the relationship behind you. If one's pulling harder than the other, then the yoke, the thing that connects you to the cart, is going to chafe the other person. Like you have to be pulling at the same strength, at the same energy, with the same force in the same direction. And if you're not doing that, you're going to cause problems for the other person, intentionally or unintentionally, or they're going to cause problems for you. Like if
Mm-hmm.
one person's running headlong forward and the other person stops to, I don't know, get a sip of water, that yoke's going to crack them in the back of their head, and they're not going to be happy about it. And
Yeah.
it's used and misused so often to be a cudgel, but that's what they're talking about here. That's what compatibility is we're willing to pull in the same direction. We're willing to go the same way.
Mm-hmm. And it's about the objective, because if the person that you want to be with also wants to be with you, and both of you are wanting um, the long term relationship, then it is it is going to work because you give it no choice but to work. Uh,
Actually, I'm an ordained minister. That's my like secret day job that most people don't know about. So I've read the original Hebrew. I've read the original Greek. I tend, when I am teaching, to teach out of the World English Bible because I like the way that it translates. But yeah, a lot of these ideas have been very misquoted and very mistranslated over the years, and it's not what the text reads. It's not what the text actually says. And you can, when you're relying on a translation of something that's in another language, knowing what the other language says is very important
mhm.
because there's nuance that gets lost in all translation.
I personally I don't read the Bible. I have read it in the past, but I was kind of hit over the head with it proverbially as a
I
child, and
understand that.
it is it's triggering for me at times. But I find that although we come at things from a very different perspective, Charlie and I have a lot of similar understandings and interpretations, and we enjoy reading tarot together.
Yep.
um, Charlie isn't always on my channel, but Charlie has their own channel, which I will update the links below to include. But well, they're also, if you look at channels mentioned on my channel, Charlie is there as well, and also does a um fantasy first aid. So if you have questions about fantasy writing,
Yep.
great place to ask questions. Also, I know Charlie is always available to like ask philosophical questions of any kind. Also, that reminds me, I'm glad you mentioned that because I need, Charlie, I need your wisdom. What in the 1880s, in the 1800s in general, what time did people get up in the morning?
Oh, that is an ecumenical question, and it really depends on where they are,
Mm-hmm.
because of course farmers are almost invariably getting up at close to dawn to
Mm-hmm.
take care and tend the animals. Um, if they have a factory job, it really depends on what shift they're on. and that's really going to determine a lot of things. If they're house serving in a house, then they're going to have to get up generally 3 to 4 hours before the people that work there normally would.
Mm-hmm.
If they're working at a restaurant or something like that, depending on if they're a chef, for example, or a cook or somebody in the cleaning staff at a restaurant, they would probably be getting up at about 6 because all of the stocks have to be put on, all the fires have to be built, and it takes hours to get the ovens ready to cook in.
Mm-hmm.
So 6 to 7 for most positions back then, if
Okay.
not much earlier.
That helps. I was Googling and it was like, people slept a lot more than we do now. And I'm like, no shit, Sherlock. That's not what I asked Google.
Yeah, they often would go to sleep closer to sunset. So
Mm-hmm.
because it's not cheap burning candles or gas or whatever they had available to them to
Yeah.
light their places. But yeah, it really depends a lot on the work that they were doing,
Yeah. This
much
is
much
all.
like it does today. But because of how long it took to do everything, you almost have to add like 3 hours into what your expectations would be. Like go
Yeah.
back go back earlier because
No, that helps. I think I made the right guesstimation then. Also, thank you, Eva, for dropping Charlie's link there in the chat. And Ashley said, "Oh, I heard of King James Version or KJV. I'm Catholic. Never really read it. Is there a lot of Bibles or only one is real? I'm so confused."
um this is a very big subject, very short, very short put. uh the fir- the idea of which books should be included, there's the Ethiopian canon, there's the Greek Orthodox canon, the Catholic canon, and the Protestant. So there's at least four major collections of books that are called the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
The Ethiopian is the most fun one to read. I just have to say they have like spaceship battles and stuff in theirs, and I highly recommend because both First and Second Enoch are in the Ethiopian one,
Ooh,
and there's like
like too much.
phoenixes fighting cockatrice for the sake of the cosmos in there.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I just it's a fun read whether or not it's true.
I also want to throw out there that's why a lot of people got upset when they were watching the movie Noah that came out a few years back.
Yeah,
And what they didn't realize is that it wasn't biblical if you haven't read the Apocrypha.
yeah, yeah. There's so much else out there, but yeah,
I do like the Apocrypha, but I also found like I wasn't encouraged or allowed to read that as a child, which of course now I like it.
now granted I am coming from a very CS place here, but um they're collections of stories that are meant to inspire and help people and
Mhm.
share the collected wisdom of our ancestors. They're not meant to be obeyed. That is actually an idea that did not come into the world until the 1900s.
Oh, the irony. And I will also say this is my personal perspective as someone who has rebelled against religion, organized religion in general. I'm one of those people who are like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. Yes, that's me. But the the more conservative Protestants tend to be more married to the King James Version.
Which is really funny, but
It is. It is.
for reasons that are very
Truly ironic.
truly ironic.
Yeah. Um, let's see. Let me jump
King
back.
James was a dirty bird.
And hi, Heather. It's okay that you're late. We were just we just finished the last sprint. I guess what 20 minutes ago, maybe more. And then we were doing some tarot readings. We just did two tonight.
To finish the previous question off, my favorite version of all the stories that you would find in a Judeo-Christian Bible is actually the Metamorphoses by Ovid. All the same stories, just different names for all the characters. Have a read; it's a lot of fun.
I like it. I like it. He said when they had to and not a moment before. Commute times weren't a thing, though, I bet, yeah. It depended, too. Like, if you worked in the house, then no, but if you lived on the on the grounds of an estate, then it could be a significant walk because most of the time you couldn't see, like, the village houses / hovels from the main house.
A 30-minute walk was considered decent.
Yeah, because of course you can't be seeing all the plebs' houses from your mansion. That would spoil the view.
Yeah, a 30-minute walk was not unknown.
And let's see, folks work near home. Yeah. Scripture canons vary by faith so much. There's a bunch, and the real one is in the eye of the beholder. True facts. I studied KJV and Shakespeare due to their being written around the same time
Yep.
in my undergrad studies. Yeah. I always say that is why I don't have such a hard time reading things like Austen and Hardy because I like when I started reading, which I didn't start reading till I was about 9. I'm very dyslexic and took a while, but once I got into reading, I was required to read a chapter a day, and so I can read anything, not out loud, but yeah,
And early modern English was much easier to write poetry in.
this is true. Fun book recommendations: A Step Off World Mythology, an anthology of the great myths and epics by Donna Rosenberg.
Good book.
I'll have to check that out. Yes, that does sound interesting. Y'all, it is almost 11:20. I must needs rest. This has been a blast, though. I always enjoy these, and Charlie, thank you so much for coming on.
You don't know how much I needed to be here.
It makes me so happy. You're always welcome, and I love reading tarot with you because I feel like you have such a great perspective, and it I learn new things about the cards by reading collaboratively, and I enjoy that. Would you like to do a quick outro before we wrap up for the evening?
Sure, my name is Charlie Dorset. You can find my YouTube channel either under that name or I do a channel on mythology, religion, spirituality, and magic at Creation's Path here on YouTube. I stream usually 4 times a week, twice here on YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are talking streams that you can find there, and on Wednesday and Friday, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, I do sprints and chats and hangouts over on the Twitch at twitch.tv/CEDorset. And you can find my music by searching for Project Shadow anywhere music is served. And if you happen to see a podcast by that name, that's also me.
Well, I believe that's it. But yes, you can find Charlie's main channel linked on my channel. Just click on channels and you will see Charlie right there. I will also add links to this video and I will add chapters. So if you want to come back and rewatch your reading or anything like that, it will be linked in the description. Thank you all for coming. I had a wonderful time. Thank you for sharing your questions and trusting me to read for you. I always love to do that. I find it very restorative to my spirit. So I hope you all got a lot of stuff done. Bless you. I do this on Tuesday nights from 8 to 10, either on YouTube or Twitch. And you can find my Twitch linked below as well. And I do the first and third on YouTube and the second and fourth on Twitch. So if you don't see me here, check over there. But you all have a wonderful evening, and we'll be back in not next week, but the week following week. So thank y'all, and have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.